Tragedy invokes a special unity. And in the days following President Kennedy's assassination, a nation bonded by sadness was plain to see.
Bearing the burden of their own sorrow, 250,000 people braved near freezing weather to pass by the dead president in tribute. Some waited for as long as 12 hours in a line that at times stretched for 10 miles. The old, the young, the aged, the children. They became one in their grief, in the spontaneous outpouring that throws up an enduring memorial to the American spirit.
On November 25, 1963, a silent reverence shrouded the country, as the man who once commanded the presidency with a youthful vigor was brought out of the Capitol rotunda in a flag-draped coffin. Waiting at the bottom of the Capitol steps were his widow, 2 brothers, and behind them a sea of some 1 million mourners, including representatives from all over the world, lining the funeral procession for one final glimpse.
Not since the funeral of Britain's King Edward VII in 1910 has there been such a gathering of kings and queens, presidents and premiers. 220 dignitaries from 92 foreign lands honor the warrior who died while fighting for peace and liberty and the dignity of man.
Led by the United States Marine Band, the horse-drawn caisson carrying the body of the president proceeded to the White House, and then on to St. Matthew's Cathedral for the funeral mass.
A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot the plant, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build.
After the mass, Kennedy's casket was carried out of the cathedral and placed back on the caisson, receiving a poignant salute from his 3-year-old son, John Jr., an image that became an everlasting symbol of the loss felt on that cold November day. The last leg of the procession led to Arlington National Cemetery, where the fallen president would meet his final resting place. But before being lowered into his gravesite, on the hillside just below the Arlington house, Jackie Kennedy, clutching the flag that had draped her husband's coffin, marked the end of the ceremony by lighting an eternal flame.
Mrs. Kennedy, Jackie Kennedy, had seen the eternal flame in France, in Paris at the Arc de Triomphe, the eternal flame for the unknown soldier. My understanding is that that was the inspiration for her to request an eternal flame at the gravesite of John F. Kennedy.
That request was made just 1 day before the funeral, forcing a team of engineers to come up with something in a matter of hours. They pulled it off, but the flame lit on November 25, 1963, was only temporary. And as plans for a permanent memorial got underway, it fell to Dr. Bob Rosenberg and his team at the Institute of Gas Technology to come up with a flame that was truly eternal.
They turned to us and said, can you guys do something? Can you come up with a eternal flame that meets the requirements of the family and what this original cardboard cutout was supposed to look like?
Those requirements were specific and became an all-encompassing challenge for Rosenberg as he set about the task in late 1966.
And the flame was supposed to have a soft character, a form, but yet kind of amorphous, kind of formless, and yet was supposed to hold that shape in fairly strong winds and rains. So it was a fairly difficult engineering project. There was a lot of pressure. We had if I might be going a little too far, but the honor of the gas industry. And if we couldn't come up with an eternal flame to meet the requirements of the aesthetic and the physical, it would have been something of a black eye.
Rosenberg made 3 trips to Washington to test prototypes, but each failed to match the concept. until a moment of serendipity struck Rosenberg at a near desperate time.
I was about to throw up my hands, and I said, wait, there's one other thing I can do. And I picked up a rock from nearby and put it on top of the flame, on top of the burner, and I said, we can put a spreader plate on here. And he said, oh, that's it. That's exactly what we wanted.
When the permanent gravesite for John F. Kennedy opened in March of 1967, it was Rosenberg's design that lit the flame and would keep it lit for years and years.
To be involved and to have that relatively personal contact was very emotional. It was quite a moving experience.
For half a century now, through wind and rain and hail and snow, it's flickered its solemn duty. Grief and hope made tangible in the glow of a flame.
The eternal flame has become that enduring memorial to the American spirit, the will to shine on even through the darkest tragedies, a symbol of the light that burns on through all our legacies, long after we're gone.
The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world.